Hello, welcome back to the James Rambling Reviews for yet another episode. In today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing for you Lucky Baskhar. Lucky Baskhar, which is one of the most recent Indian movies that came to Netflix that I actually got done watching a couple of nights back and gave myself that time to process it. And so before we get into how I felt about the movie, give it a 10 and stuff like that, just going to give you a bit of context into this, saying that if you don't know already, I've actually been getting very into Indian movies and trying out, kind of like these Indian Bollywood cinematic experiences on Netflix for the most part, and they've been showing up on my Netflix, and I'm just kind of dabbling into it and really getting myself into this different kind of rabbit hole of cinema, and I'm absolutely been enjoying it. And I will link down below my last review where I talked about Vitayan or whatever it's called. So there is that, and so I've pretty much been enjoying Indian cinema. And so with this movie, I will give you a bit about the plot, but I'm not going to spoil every single thing about this movie, because you definitely, when it comes to Indian movies, it's best to actually watch the movie, because it is quite a crazy, chaotic experience, and then later on it's meant to make sense while you're watching it. So what this movie is actually about, you've got the main character called Baskhar, right? And pretty much he's this middle class guy working for, this bank in India. And what you get to see here pretty much is a rags to riches storyline, which is probably the best way to describe it and the most simple way to describe it. Like, you get to see, how he's very unlucky with everything, and then eventually he becomes the Lucky Baskhar, right? And so that is pretty much the best way to describe the film. It is about 2.5 hours, which is pretty short for an Indian movie. You'd expect an Indian movie to just be kind of closer to 3 hours, but this one was just 2.5 hours, just kind of like, I think it's 2 hours 27 on Netflix or something like that. So there is that. So how did I actually feel about this movie, Lucky Baskhar? And I'm going to be honest into saying that I absolutely enjoyed this one. It's really another kind of enjoyable one. However, this is an interesting movie, as it is not like a big giant action spectacle where you have 6 or 7 dance numbers. No, what it really is about, it's all about Baskhar. It's all about the friends he makes along the way, all about the love interest, and all about the bank, the bank, and how the bank is feuding with him, and how the enemies are on the rise. But it's not like an action movie, it's more like the characters are saying certain things to kind of stir up drama to the point where they absolutely hate each other, and then another bit of the plot starts introducing itself, and then it gets even crazier and even crazier. And so there is that. And from what you get from the the music in general, it certainly is a fun time indeed, because I had a few beers watching this movie, and when you hear that theme song, da 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 da, you lucky Baskhar, da 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 da, you lucky Baskhar, it's like, yeah, that was a fun track. It's the theme song. And as a quick fun fact about that theme song, Lucky Baskhar, was the fact that I actually thought they were going to say, you lucky bastard, da da da, kind of thing. But that whole thing was very, very fun. And obviously with a lot of Indian movies, they do like to have the title track where they absolutely love the main star and think they're the absolute Jesus and absolute God and all that. So that's what's really good about it. And I also didn't mind the acting. The acting was pretty alright, and the music and everything. And so yeah, that's kind of my review of Lucky Baskhar. I did enjoy this movie. It certainly has a different flavour, especially if you watch 3 or 4 action-packed spectacle Indian movies and go and watch this. It's a completely different vibe. It's something completely different, and something that you couldn't really expect from India. However, you do still get themes about India and everything like that in the movie. So it is similar but different to a different type of Indian type of movies I've been watching. And so yeah, I would actually give this one solid 7 or 8 out of 10. Not the most perfect movie, but it definitely has a lot more of a straightforward plot than I expected, because it was crazy, but it was kind of a lot more simpler than other Indian movies. You could actually feel like, okay, he goes from the unlucky to the lucky, so it was kind of cool in that way. So yeah, that's my review Hope you enjoyed this review and stay tuned for more like it. You lucky bastard.